My name is Tristan Van Buren. I'm the head of R&D, and I work with Accolade every day. The company I work for is Actega. We're part of the Altana Group, which is a specialty international chemical group. We focus mostly on packaging and printing applications, and we provide science to our customers. We provide surface science, and we focus a lot on the specialty chemicals industry. So we measure the success in a number of simple ways. Obviously, we have an innovation rate. We measure simple sales from new products. I think that's a typical industry metric. But how I measure success of our innovation process is not about the projects that we do, it's about the projects that we choose not to do. So being able to kill projects and allowing our resources to work on the projects that really matter, for me, is the success. We have 10 companies around the world within our small division, Actega, and they were all operating largely independently and using different innovation processes to evaluate their projects. So what we wanted to do was bring the companies together on a standard process and a standard way of evaluating projects so that we could rather work as a team across the globe. The most frustrating part of doing what I needed to do was that we could never kill a project. So our approach was to accept everything because we could always find the right numbers if we spent long and hard enough to justify a project. And unfortunately, that inconsistency in the way we evaluated meant every project eventually went through into development. All of our resources were always allocated to every project that came through, and we had an over-allocation problem. It was a typical problem that we had in all 10 companies because of the business model that we used and the type of companies that we had come from, where we were typically responding to customer requests on a regular basis, and the emotion of responding to a customer request is what drove our businesses. So we needed a way in which we could evaluate projects in order to be consistent in our approach. We had simple spreadsheets where there was NPV models that were handed down from our corporate organization, either used well or used badly. We had numbers written on the back of a cigarette box, that we had conversations at the bar. There was no consistency in the way it was approached. You just had to convince someone that your project had value and you could get it done. What made it really easy for us to choose Sopheon was that we had executive leadership buy-in. At the time, we actually got a new CTO, and he brought across the solution from his previous company, which was for us a real benefit because we didn't have to go through a long evaluation process that other companies may have to. He had this great experience with Sopheon. He brought it with him and said, this is where we are going, and this is going to solve a lot of our problems for us. The value of the Express content was that we could get up and running in a short space of time. There were a lot of best practice templates that were very, very useful for us to get started with, that we could adjust to our own organization's needs, but it gave us the solid foundation where to start, and we didn't have to build everything from scratch. My biggest surprise with Accolade was really the flexibility of the software. At first, we thought it was going to be only for product development, but we found so many other uses for it. We're using it for a number of other processes that we want to control and monitor. For example, we're looking at new business development. We're looking at technology transfers from one company to another. We're looking at things like technology investigations. So the flexibility of the software, the configurability, has been the biggest surprise for us. The fact that you can configure it in the way that you want, the fact that we internally can configure it in the way that we want, has made it a great asset for our organization. Most of the measurement is really in soft benefits. We've seen the cultural change, but the one thing that I have seen is our increase in rejection rate. We were at 0%, and now we're at approximately 30-35% rejection rate on projects coming through the process. It's allowing us to make sure the right projects go through. It's allowing us to kill projects with less emotion than we previously had. And it's allowing our resources that are limited to work on the right projects. So we're very happy with it. The value has been that we can now work on longer term initiatives where before we were tied up with short term initiatives. With Accolade, our resources are free and we have a way to measure those longer term initiatives. My role as the head of R&D is really two things. One, I have to work with our business leaders to help build a robust and profitable R&D pipeline to meet our future business needs. But number two, I also have to make sure that that particular pipeline is executed so that we can actually realize those profits that we had planned for. The decision to use Accolade has allowed me to speak with our business leaders in a much more consistent way. Previously, there was very emotional discussions, there was no figures behind it, there was no proper assessments being done. I think with Accolade, we've now opened the door for a more professional discussion in our organization about projects that we are going to pursue. I would recommend Accolade because it gives you two things. The first, for us, it allows us to look at our portfolio and be honest with ourselves and say what's working and what's not working. And then it also allows us to make those hard decisions and get rid of projects that don't make sense. That gives us the opportunity to work on projects that do make sense. I'd also highly recommend it because it is this wonderful repository for all the information around a particular project. And that keeps people aligned, it keeps people informed, and it keeps people moving in the right direction.